There is something in your fridge that costs less than a cup of coffee. Most people past 60 eat it 2 or 3 times a week without giving it a second thought. And almost nobody knows what it is actually doing once it is inside them. For most of the last 50 years, the egg was the food everyone was told to be careful with. Count them, limit them, leave the yolk on the side of the plate. That advice shaped how an entire generation learned to shop and cook, and a great deal of it has quietly been walked back. What never changed through all of it is what an egg actually contains. So this is 4 things an egg is genuinely good for after 60. Not a miracle, not a transformation, just what is in there and what the body does with it. The one at number 1 is why a person can eat the same breakfast they always have and still be steadier on the stairs by autumn. It is the simplest change on this list, and it is last because it is the one worth waiting for. Maybe the afternoons have started arriving earlier than they used to. Maybe the stairs ask for a little more than they did at 45. Maybe a bruise turns up on an arm and there is no telling where it came from. All of that gets filed under age, almost automatically, by almost everybody. Some of it genuinely is. Some of it is a body running short of specific things, and that is a different problem with a different answer. Number 4, vitamin D, from one of the very few foods that actually contains any. Vitamin D is not really a vitamin in the ordinary sense. The body manufactures most of its own supply from sunlight falling on bare skin. The difficulty is that the process becomes markedly less efficient with age. Michael Holick's group at Boston University Medical Center measured it directly. Older skin produces substantially less vitamin D than younger skin from the same sun. Add more time indoors, and winters where the sun is too weak to do the job at all. And food starts carrying weight that sunlight used to carry alone. But the food list is short. Oily fish, certain mushrooms, milk and cereals where it was added at the factory rather than being there naturally, and eggs, which are on that list without anyone having put it there. The vitamin D sits in the yolk, which is worth saying plainly to anyone who spent 2 decades being told the yolk was the part to avoid. 2 eggs will not supply a full day's worth. What they do is contribute reliably from a food already in the house. And this matters because vitamin D is what allows the body to absorb calcium at all. One note, some steroid, cholesterol, and weight management medications interfere with vitamin D absorption. Worth a short conversation with a pharmacist rather than a guess. Number 3, the 2 pigments the eye pulls out of food and puts to work. Deep at the back of the eye sits a small patch of tissue that does all the fine detail work. That patch holds a concentrated yellow pigment, and the body cannot manufacture it. It has to be taken from food, carried through the blood, and deposited there. The 2 compounds are lutein and zeaxanthin. They are in dark leafy greens in far larger amounts than in eggs. That is simply true, and there is no point pretending otherwise. But quantity in the food is not the same as quantity that arrives. Billy Hammond's group at the University of Georgia has worked on this for years, and the finding is about delivery rather than dose. Both compounds are fat-soluble. They need fat in the same meal to cross the gut wall. Spinach delivers a great deal of pigment into a system that may not be equipped to collect it. An egg delivers less, packaged in the yolk, already surrounded by the fat needed to move it. What the pigment does is act as a filter between bright light and the tissue doing the detailed work. Steadier vision in glare. Slightly easier adjustment coming indoors from a bright street. Nothing dramatic and no promise attached. Number 2, vitamin B12. At exactly the point when the body gets worse at collecting it. Vitamin B12 does not simply walk into the bloodstream. It has to be prized away from the protein it arrives attached to, and stomach acid does that job. Robert Russell's work at Tufts University established how commonly stomach acid production falls with age. The intake has not changed. The collection has. It is involved in making red blood cells and in the upkeep of nerves. When it runs low, the effects are unglamorous and easy to misread. Tiredness that does not match the amount of sleep, a pins and needles feeling in fingers or feet. An egg carries vitamin B12 packaged with the protein rather than in isolation, in a form that comes free reasonably easily. The medication note here is real, metformin, and the acid-reducing medications many people take long-term for reflux, both lower how much vitamin B12 gets absorbed. Anyone taking either has good reason to raise it at their next appointment, not an alarm. A question worth asking out loud. Number 1. The most complete protein in the ordinary shop at the meal where almost nobody eats any. Protein gets discussed as though it were a single substance that a food either has or does not have. What matters past 60 is not only how much protein is in something, but how much of it the body can actually break apart and rebuild with. It contains all 9 of the amino acids the body cannot make for itself, in close to the proportions the body wants them in. For decades, the egg was the reference protein. It was the thing every other protein got scored against. Now the part that matters, and it is about timing rather than amount. Muscle is taken apart and rebuilt continuously every day for a whole lifetime. Past 60, the rebuilding side becomes less responsive. The same protein produces less rebuilding than it did at 40. Douglas Patton Jones at the University of Texas Medical Branch has published extensively on this, and the finding that ought to be better known is about distribution. Most people eat very little protein at breakfast, a moderate amount at lunch, and the overwhelming majority of the day's total in the evening. The body cannot bank it. What is not put to use inside a given window is largely not put to use at all. 2 eggs at breakfast turns the earliest meal of the day from almost no protein into a genuinely useful amount of it. Nothing has been added to the day. Nothing has been given up. The same food is simply arriving at a different hour. That is why this one sits at number 1. It costs nothing, it takes no extra time, and it is the change most likely to be felt in the legs on the stairs a few months from now. Your day, start to finish. Put the 4 back into the order they actually happen in, and the picture is far smaller than the list makes it look. Breakfast is where nearly all of it lands. 2 eggs, cooked however they are enjoyed, at the meal where protein has always been thinnest. That single act delivers the protein at the hour it is most useful. The vitamin D, the skin, is no longer making in quantity, and the vitamin B12, the stomach, has grown less efficient at collecting. Keep the yolk, because 3 of the 4 things on this list live inside it. 1 meal, unchanged in every respect, except what is on the plate. The honest part. Nothing on this list works in a week, and anyone claiming otherwise is selling something. The protein change is the one with a timeline worth stating. Muscle responds over months, not days, and it responds to being used at least as much as to being fed. Eggs on their own will not build anything. Eggs plus actually using the legs will. Vitamin D and vitamin B12 are slower still, and the honest answer is that a blood test tells you more than a feeling does. That is where it stops being a video's job. Anyone who suspects they are genuinely short of either has a simple test available, and that is a conversation for a doctor rather than a decision to reach alone. The medication points are worth repeating once. Steroid, cholesterol, and weight management medications can affect vitamin D. Metformin and long-term acid-reducing medications can affect vitamin B12. None of that means stopping anything. It means mentioning it. An egg contributes to every single thing on this list and is the sole answer to none of them. And one more thing, which nobody in this corner of the internet ever says. Some of the tiredness, some of the stiffness, some of the slower afternoons are simply a body that has done 60-odd years of work. It does not owe anyone 30. Some of this does not need fixing and never did. Most people give up on a change like this around week 3, which is roughly a fortnight before there was anything to notice. So, 4 things. Number 4, vitamin D from one of the few ordinary foods containing any. Number 3, the pigments the eye collects and uses, delivered with the fat needed to carry them. Number 2, vitamin B12, at the age when the stomach gets worse at collecting it. And number 1, the most complete protein available, moved to the meal where it was missing. 4 things, 1 carton, and not a single new item on the shopping list. Tell me in the comments what you'd like explained next. I read every single one. If this was useful, a like genuinely does help it reach people who would rather understand something than be frightened into buying it. And if that is the sort of thing you want more of, subscribing is the whole reason this channel exists. Here is to the healthy living years.